Hey guys, it's the end of the month, which usually means it's time to give away a couple of random things to a couple of random people. However, Patreon have told us that giving away random things to people who happen to be supporting us on Patreon may break some laws in some states in the USA. So we're not allowed to do it, apparently. So now we have to be really, really careful what we do and how we do it, and what we say too, apparently. So obviously we want to try and, we see these things that we do as being ways of thanking the people who support us on Patreon, because it's only because of the people on Patreon, the 180 people. There was 182, now there's 180. So it's only because of those 180 people on Patreon that we can continue to make videos. So we really appreciate that. So the way we see it is those people on Patreon support the channel and allow it to keep going, and then we occasionally send those people some things to thank them for supporting us and allowing the channel to continue. That's the way we saw it. We didn't see anybody was buying a chance for anything, or that it was gambling or a raffle or anything else, as they've said that it could be seen as, apparently. So we have to be really careful. So first of all, we can still do our sending out of the signed books. So everybody who pays more than $20 a month or more to support the channel on Patreon, all those people are sent books. So that's not a chance thing, that's just to everybody. That's considered a benefit, is what Patreon call it. A benefit to being in the $20 plus tier on Patreon is that all those people, every one of those people, will receive a book. So we can do that. So we're going to do that right now. We're going to send a couple of those. So our book is the How to Do Stuff in Japan book, which we're very happy with and very proud of, and it seems that it's been very useful to some people who visited Japan. So if you're going to visit Japan, or you know somebody's going to visit Japan, or you're interested in Japan, you might want to have a look at that book. There's always links to that where you can get that book underneath our videos. So we're going to send a signed copy of that book to Sochiva in Australia is one. Hope we got your name right there, Sochiva in Australia, Victoria, Australia. And we're going to send another signed copy of the book to Bart in Fairfax in the USA. So to you guys, thanks very much for supporting us. So all the people in the $20 a month plus category on Patreon get a copy of that book. So it's not a chance thing, it's not a luck thing, it's just everybody gets one. Usually we do wait a month or two before we send them out, because we have had some people who have signed up on Patreon on the $20 plus tier, and then as soon as they've got their book have cancelled their subscription or their pledge. We actually had one guy, how's this, he signed up and said he's going to pay $20 a month, and then sent an email straight away saying, hi, I just signed up, I'm going to pay $20 a month, when will I receive my book? And this was about a year ago. And oh, okay, it's on its way. So we sent it straight away. And straight away, we'd already sent it in the post, and he cancelled his pledge. So he just conned us, basically. He tricked us. So obviously, the people who usually support us on Patreon aren't doing that sort of thing. But it has happened a couple of times that people get the book and then cancel their pledge straight away. So obviously, it costs us more than $40 to buy it, to have it printed and to send it somewhere in the world. So we have to wait a month or two just to make sure that's not going to happen again. So we can still do that. We can still do our $20 plus a month. The deal is that we've got to do it for everyone in the category. We can't do a chance thing, which makes it really difficult to do the giveaways. We really liked doing the giveaways because it was fun to collect those things randomly every month, just different things that we found. And we still want to do it. When we're shopping, we often go, oh, look at that. That'd be good in the giveaway, you know, and we've sort of had to put that on hold, but it's something that we enjoy doing. We find a strange Kit Kat, or we find a fan or a chopsticks or something that we think we could put in the giveaway. It's a bit of fun collecting that stuff together and then putting it in an envelope and sending it to someone is a bit of fun. But the problem is, we can't really do that for a whole category, we don't think, because it's just too expensive. And, you know, just the postage alone is usually averages between about $25 to $30 to send by EMS to somewhere in the world, just the postage. So obviously that makes it a bit difficult. It sort of defeats the purpose of the patronage in the first place, which is... So anyway, so we're still trying to work out how to do that. In the meantime, we've got a couple other things we've worked out. One is our friends at Japanese Market, as you know, every month they've been giving away one of these boxes, and they've been great to us, these guys, for months and months. We can't do that anymore. We can't randomly give away one of those boxes to anybody, and they can't. It's been them that's been giving it away, but because it's via us, we can't do it now because we'll get in trouble. So instead of that, we talked to those guys and said, what can we do for everyone? And because we can't send everybody a box, because again, it costs them a fortune just to send it. So what they said they do for us is they give everyone on Patreon, all the guys on Patreon on the $5 and above tiers, they would give you guys a discount coupon, discount link, and that box is usually $35, and they'll give you a $10 discount, which is their profit. So they said that if they sell you the box for $25, they're not making anything out of it at all. They also asked, they said because of that, because they won't be making anything out of it at all, please don't share. Those of you who are on Patreon, on the $5 and above tiers, who get that, if you go to Patreon and look at Patreon, you'll see it. Here it is. Picture of that box there, same picture, and then it says underneath, here's the link, and if you click the link, it goes to PayPal, and you can buy the box for $25. But they've asked you to please not tell other people that link or share that link around, because obviously it's just, you know, they're not making any money at that amount. They're just doing it to support you guys for supporting us, which is really, really generous of them. So please use the link and buy something. We know someone has already. Please use the link and buy a box there at cost, but please don't share the link around. And we're hoping we can do more of that. We're hoping we can get on to some other people. We've got some other good businesses that we know in Japan who sell stuff online, like our fake food friends and some other people like that. So we're talking to those guys too. And what we'd like to do is get some more discount vouchers onto Patreon with some really good discounts like that, so that you guys, if you want to buy stuff online from Japan, can buy really cheaply. We're also looking at ways we can still do some giveaways, but we're going to have to do it that we give it to everybody, and that just makes the maths difficult, because obviously when you consider the cost of sending stuff out, what it's going to cost, it's really difficult to do that with everyone and still make it worthwhile, because the whole idea of Patreon in the first place is supposed to be to support the channel, to allow it to continue. If we burn that money sending out giveaways to people, it just defeats the purpose, and we can't pay our bills, and then we can't continue making videos, and we've got to spend more time at work. So yeah, that's the catch with that. So we're listening. The people that support us on Patreon have come up with a few suggestions. We're considering some of them. We're thinking about other ways. A lot of people have actually sent us messages and said, look, we don't need you to send us anything. We support you on Patreon because we want the channel to continue, and we don't need you to send us anything. We really appreciate that. It really takes a bit of pressure off. And it does seem to be a bit of a shame. We thought the way it was and the way it's been for the last 27 months was pretty good. That the people supporting the channel allowed the channel to continue, and then we just randomly sent random people stuff every month. And it seemed to be working really well. And we'd sent out 81 packages or something, 83 packages, something like that over that 27 months. And so we had, lots of happy people out there who are supporting us, and it was all working pretty well. So it just sucks, really. It does suck that we can't continue to do it that way, but we're still working on other ways. So for the meantime, we're going to keep sending out the books. We'll keep trying to get some more discounts onto Patreon for you. If you look at the page, you'll find any more that we can get. And then we're trying to consider other ways too, other things that we can give to you guys to thank you for your support. we have lost a couple of patrons. It's a shame, but a couple of people obviously decided that, you know, that the giveaway thing was pretty important to them. So a couple of people reduced their pledges to almost nothing, and then a couple other people just stopped pledging, so stopped paying. So sadly, we were actually starting to get, as you know, we said if we could get to our goal every month, that we would remove the ads from the new videos. So when you watch new videos, they wouldn't have ads on them. And that, we really wanted to do that, and we're almost at the goal. And then this happened, and then it's actually dropped down now, so we're well below our goal again. So we're struggling again. So again, anybody who's watching this who's supporting us on Patreon that might be able to step up a bit more, or anybody who's not on Patreon yet who wants to be in on this stuff. Some other things that we've been thinking about doing too. We were posting videos on Patreon that no one else could see except the people on Patreon, but not many people were watching them. We were finding that on average about 20 or 30 people were watching them, which was sort of made it a bit of a waste of time a little bit, because you know, making a video just for patrons and then only 20 or 30 watching it was a bit of a shame. But we'll probably do a bit more of that, and a few more photos. We found some of the photos we were taking were pretty popular, so we'll do a few more photos and a few more videos now and again too, only for the people on Patreon. So we're trying to make it a little bit more. A few people have suggested stuff like that, a few more exclusive stuff for Patreon, for patrons, that only the people on Patreon can see. So we're considering what we can do with that too. So we're still a bit phased. It's only been a couple of weeks since all this has gone down, so we're still a little bit phased as to what to do. You know, we've had a box of stuff there ready to go into the giveaways for this month, and we can't do it now. So we looked at different options, but the more we heard about Patreon and the more we heard about what's been happening, the less confident we were to try and get around it. We thought we could get around it, and you know, as long as we didn't make any promises to send people stuff, we figured we could just send people stuff. What would stop some people like us just randomly sending random stuff to some other random people who weren't even in America sometimes, right? You know, we know that it's in the US states, the laws, but we're trying to, you know, we couldn't see how that could matter to anybody else. But apparently what we say and what we do can be heavily monitored by all sorts of people. So we have to be really, really careful not to do anything that could be construed in the wrong way or get us into trouble. Because the last thing you want is to get into trouble with these big corporations, isn't it? It makes life really difficult. It reinforces something that we decided a while ago, that having a backup plan for everything is a good idea. So that's why we're on Facebook, and we're on Twitter, and we're on Patreon, and we're on YouTube, and we're on Daily Motion, and so we're trying to have enough reach out there in different places that if any of these big corporations cuts us off, that we can continue on all our other platforms in a way that would allow us to keep in contact with everybody and allow us to keep going. And again, that's the biggest bonus with having the patrons supporting us, is that means that, you know, we're sort of a little bit more independent, and we know lots of the patrons have said, if you leave Patreon and go somewhere else, we'll go with you, and we appreciate that as well. But just sadly at the moment, you know, this is the problem when these big guys do this. At the moment, we really do think YouTube is one of the best platforms for video hosting, and we do think Patreon is one of the best platforms for the patronage thing. So it is a shame when we get bad treatment from big companies like that you want to stay with them, but you know, they make it hard. They do make it hard to stay with them when they treat people badly, you know. It's hard to be loyal to companies that treat people without loyalty, you know. But it does also justify, or it does also encourage us to keep going with our various things. You know, if you use Twitter and you're not following us on Twitter or Facebook, if you're not following us on Facebook, please do. And again, Patreon's the key, really, at the moment. If you guys can follow us on Patreon and support us on Patreon, that's the whole key to us to be able to continue, and also a really good way for us to keep in contact with everybody as well. And then with all these different streams, you know, and YouTube and Daily Motion, we don't post videos on Daily Motion very often, but occasionally we do, and that's just there as really as a backup to YouTube. So if anything ever happens to YouTube and you know, or us on YouTube, that we've got our backup plan there. So it's an interesting state the internet's in at the moment. You know, it does seem that a lot of these platforms use reporting systems, dobbing systems they'd be called in Australia, but systems where people report other people for perceived infringements or for things that they're alleged to have done, and that these automated systems will punish people without any human being actually checking if it's actually fair or accurate or reasonable. And it does seem that some vindictive people with too much spare time do seem to be very good at manipulating those systems from what we're seeing. So I mean, we're not interested in all this nonsense really. We just want to make videos about Japan. That's what we want to do. But the more we get kicked around by these big companies, the more we hear from people. People send us lots of messages, you know, about these things. Have you seen this? Have you seen this? Have you seen this? And tell us what's going on with these different platforms and some of the terribly unreasonable and unfair things that they do to people or allow to be done to people, just because they're focused on making a profit and they're not really interested in fair treatment or in justice or in anything else like that. It's all about the profits and the numbers, and that's always seems to be the case with these big guys. It's all about the numbers. It's a math thing. When they make their decisions, it's all maths really most of the time, and that, you know, little guys like us don't even fall into the decimal places when they do their maths, so they don't really care about us at all, do they? So that's why these strategies, that we figure the best thing that we can do is be on as many platforms as we can. And that means that if any one of them decides that, you know, they're going to flick us off, or if we get flicked off any of them, or if anything happens to us on any of them, that if we've got enough of these streams, enough of these platforms going, that we'll be able to continue to connect with you guys, which is what it's all about. Our whole goal is to keep making videos about Japan that you guys can watch. That's really all we're interested in. We're not really interested in this other nonsense. Just the reality of life means we have to pay our bills, which is why Patreon's so important to us, to get that support on Patreon, to give us the time, you know, that time that we would have to spend, extra time we'd have to spend at work. If we got support on Patreon, we can then treat our YouTube channel as a part-time job and commit that time every day into making videos and being on YouTube, which is, you know, it's just the reality of it for a young family, for a family, you know, that has to pay their bills. That's just the reality of that one. But I mean, really, our main goal is just to make videos about Japan that you guys can watch. You know, that's what we like doing. That's what we want to do. You know, driving around in the car every day, there's something. Someone in the car is going to go, look at that video. Where's the camera? There's something so easy, and we love doing it. We love doing it, and then we love showing you guys and reading your reactions and watching your reactions, and you know, that's what we're about. All this other stuff is just jama, as the Japanese would say, just obstacles. All these other things are just obstacles to doing that, really. So anyway, there it was. Sending these books out. Please check out the Patreon page and get that thing. If you're not interested in supporting the channel or not interested in anything else, and you just want to buy some of those snacks online, there'll be a link underneath this video as well. Those guys have just been amazing, giving away free boxes of stuff every month to you guys for 27 months. You know, they've been just amazing, those guys. So anything we can do to support Freedom Japanese Market, tell your friends about them and whatever else, you know, to support those guys, because they've been great to us. And then when we told them what was happening with Patreon and said, what can we do, you know, what can we do to thank our patrons without breaking the rules? Can we give them a discount coupon? And, you know, giving you a $10 discount off a $35 item is pretty good, isn't it? You know, and then breaking even. They reckon that they'll make no money at that. They'll break even at that, which just means they're doing it then out of the goodness of their heart, aren't they, to support us? So if we can support them in return, that'd be great. So yeah, thank you again, everybody. Happy New Year, and there will be thanks to the 180 people on Patreon. More videos coming soon.